Greetings from Lugogo Baptist Church. Through the month of April and May, we are covering a series called Sent Out. And particularly this week, we are looking at Sent Out with a Message. This is derived from the book of Romans, chapter 1, verse 8 to 17. Here we see Paul looking at thanking God for what he has done, what the report that he's hearing from the church of the church in Rome. And because God is accomplishing so many things through them, so he's very grateful. No wonder he says that we thank God for what we are hearing God doing among you. So what does he do when he hears such a good report that is taking place in the church in Rome? He says that he goes down to his knees. So he remembers them in his prayers. He's grateful to God for what God is doing for them. So no wonder he goes out to pray for them. I can imagine he doesn't give us details about what so much he prays for them. But what comes to mind is the same that we see in Ephesians chapter 1 when he prays for the church, where he prays that God grants them the spirit of wisdom and understanding, where he prays that the eyes of their hearts will be opened. I'm imagining him praying for them in that kind of manner. So it doesn't stop there at praying, which I think all of us should do, because the best thing and the most effective way we can actually support others that are in the mission field is to pray for them. And that's what he's doing. The other thing that he does here, he longs to meet them in person. Remember, this is not a church that he planted. It is a church that was planted by someone else. But he's very grateful to what God is doing. And no wonder he's now longing to see them in person. And that is for two reasons. One reason is because he has seen what God is doing. One reason is for him to be able to meet them in person. So he desires to meet them. And this is very, very key. He has never seen them in person, but he desires to meet them in person, such that there is mutual edification. Yes, the church was planted by someone else, but he desires that we'll be able to meet them in person, which is something that all of us would desire. That when you are in the field, you desire that you'll be able to meet with other people who are like-minded. So he knows that if he gets an opportunity and if God ever opens a door for him to meet them, he knows that that will go a long way to encourage them, and they will also encourage him. Not only that, he also desires that he will be able to reap a harvest among them. He knows that if God grants an opportunity for him to go to them, he will be able to bear fruit. He will be able to preach to some of them who are not yet born again, and God willing, they will come to know him. So now, in these first few verses, we see that he is so much sold out. And one may ask themselves, why is Paul going at length to do all this for these people? He has never met them. He doesn't know them that much, but he desires, he pours out his heart before God to see that he's able to serve them in any way he could. He cries out to God for their well-being, and this is all that he's doing. So the question is, why would Paul go at length to do this? Why would he be involved in something like this? We see in verse 14 that he says that I am under obligation to the Greeks and the barbarians. And this is very key. And I was looking out the word obligation. The synonyms there is duty, commitment. Paul knows that this is reaching out to the lost, or reaching out to those that are serving with him, even in different places, is something that he has to continue doing. He doesn't do it as a by the way. He doesn't do it when he feels like. He does it whenever grants him an opportunity. No wonder when you go down to verses 16 and 17, he says that, for I am not ashamed of the gospel, for it is the power of God for the salvation of everyone who believes, to the Jew first and also to the Greek. For in it the righteousness of God is revealed from faith to faith. As it is written, the righteous shall live by faith. Paul says that he is not ashamed. He is not ashamed because he knows that this which I believe has so much power to change lives. This which I believe in has power to transform anyone else's life. And before we get into the effects of the gospel, we see that the sole and the ultimate offer of the gospel is salvation of people's lives. If there is anything, if there is one thing that the gospel offers, it is our salvation. Salvation from sin. Salvation from the looming danger. Because we know whoever is not born again, they are already condemned and they are destined for eternal damnation. So this is an opportunity that the gospel provides. The gospel alone has the power to change anyone, anywhere, irrespective of what they have done, irrespective of how they have sinned against God. So that's what the gospel gives. And someone may ask themselves, what is the gospel? The gospel is the good news of what God has done for us. And there are three tenets that we can't miss out here. It means that Jesus became man and put on our own flesh and served us. Secondly, it means that Jesus died for the forgiveness of our sins. So he had to die in our place. He had to offer himself as a sacrifice such that we may receive forgiveness from God. And the third and last thing, which is very key here, he rose from the dead. If Jesus didn't rise, us who believe in him today will be more damned, like we see in 1 Corinthians chapter 15. So those three things are the major tenets upon which the gospel is founded. So anything else that we get from the gospel is fleshed out from those three. That Jesus came, he became man, and he lived among us, he died and rose again. And he did all that because he loves us. And it is the message of the cross. It is what Christ desires that we do, that we join him in this journey to see that as many people who come to believe, irrespective of how far they may be lost, irrespective of what they have done against him, let us reach out to them with the gospel, because it is through that gospel that they will be changed, they will be transformed and become better people. He will turn away the hearts of flesh and he will turn away the hearts of stone and grant them hearts of flesh. That is the only thing. That is what the gospel can do. Nothing else can offer us that. But the gospel is able to change and transform anyone else's life, beginning with their spiritual life. Thank you. Thank you very much.